In a giant middle finger to the fans, Mark Hamill now says that Lucasfilm should abandon Luke Skywalker. No more Luke in Star Wars. Folks, today we'll tell you what he's up to and why he's saying it. There could be far more than just a magnanimous handing of the baton to the new characters nobody wants going on with Star Wars. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel. We have a blazing hot story for you today, bringing it your way on a silver platter. All we ask is that before we start the chatter, you click the like button. Mark Hamill doesn't want more Luke, but you just might. But I bet you don't want Mark Hamill with it. We'll explain right now. All right, folks, take a look at this. It's out of That Park Place. Mark Hamill says it's time for Star Wars to move on from Luke Skywalker. It's by Martin Stone. And folks, just when you think they can't, it's unbelievable to me. These people have no sense in their heads. The article says Mark Hamill may be ready to leave the lightsaber behind for good. In a recent interview promoting his upcoming film, The Life of Chuck, the Star Wars legend reflected on his time playing Luke Skywalker and indicated that it may be time for the galaxy to move on. Now, he's not talking about, though, folks, that Mark Hamill should move on from this. He's not saying that he's done with Star Wars. He's saying something else. It's so incredibly offensive to anybody who understands how entertainment works. I'll explain why in just a moment. Here's what Mark said. I listen. Or he says, excuse me, he doesn't do that. He says, listen, I am so grateful to George for letting me be a part of that back in the days, the humble days, when George called Star Wars the most expensive low-budget movie ever made. Hamill said, we never expected it to become a permanent franchise and a part of pop culture like that, but my view is I had my time. I'm appreciative of that, but I really think they should, focus on the future and all the new characters. Let me say it again to you out there. Mark said, I really think they should, focus on the future and all the new characters.
Unbelievable.
Now, what he's saying is akin to if James Gunn had went over to DC and said, Superman had his time. And they said, oh, I get it. You don't want Henry Cavill. And we understand you want a new actor. And he said, no. It doesn't have to do with Henry Cavill. I don't want Superman in Superman movies. This is asinine to me. Yes, folks, I said it. Asinine. Mark Hamill thinks that Star Wars should kick Luke Skywalker out and focus on Ahsoka and Grogu and all this stuff that you and me, we don't want, we don't care about. That's what they think. They want you to be watching The Acolyte season 17 and not paying attention to Luke Skywalker. Panel, what are they thinking? Do they not realize that Luke is integral, like Darth Vader, to what Star Wars is?
This is dumb and a half. It is, and it also shows just kind of the ego of Mark Hamill. Because it's not like he's saying like, hey, you know what, maybe for the future of Luke we give someone else a chance. I know Sebastian Stan's stunt double has said, behind closed doors, he's told Sebastian Stan, I think you should do it, I think you should pick up and go Luke. Mark Hamill, he doesn't say that in public. He's not like, give someone else a chance. It's just, now retire the character, retire my jersey, because nobody else can do it. That's how it reads to me. Like, move on to new characters. And I don't know if that's how he feels. Maybe that's a thing from Lucasfilm, where they specifically are telling him to push for new characters because that's what they want. Because as we all know, there are desks at Lucasfilm that have pictures of Luke Skywalker on the cubicle with a big red X through his face. Literally, there are pictures of this that were caught in one of their specials. So they have no respect for Luke Skywalker. At least, for Mark Hamill, for all of his faults, he defended Luke Skywalker after The Last Jedi. He defended the fans basically in saying that like, this wasn't Luke Skywalker, this was Jake Skywalker. Now he's just like, let it go. Who cares? There are more important things to focus on, like hating the president.
Yeah. So that's what I was, exactly. Great segue, Marvin. Here it is. Los Angeles Times says Mark Hamill starred in the ultimate battle of good and evil. Now he just wants to make America normal again. Now, this is what I think is really going on, is that Mark Hamill wants to be in politics. He doesn't want to be Luke Skywalker, but I don't think he really wants anybody else to be Luke Skywalker. And Sebastian Stan is so steeped in politics at this point that maybe he's the only other person that Mark can stand having him play the titular character. Panel, what say you? Mark Hamill, I don't think is the right kind of guy to make America normal again, whatever that would be. I don't think he's normal.
Yes, make America normal again by the guy whose pants fell down on stage.
Oh, this is it's so funny because we were trying to watch my son and I were trying to watch the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars special yesterday. It was very, very interesting because, of course, Phineas and Ferb, that particular Star Wars special, focuses on Star Wars, the first movie. And Star Wars is the Skywalker saga. That's what, obviously, there's a lot of people don't understand. It's pretty clear to me that Mark Hamill is drinking way too much of that green milk. That's the issue. It's the green milk is messing with his brain.
Hey, Ron, this guy who wants to make America normal again, who says it's time for Star Wars to drop Luke. Go to other characters. Don't use Luke anymore. Ron, this is the same guy who met with former President Joe Biden. We now know that there were major health issues, and I think this story is going to continue to break. I think it's bigger than Watergate. This guy goes in, meets an addled former president, walks out to the podium and tells the world everything's fine, vote for Weekend at Bernie's, not for Orange Man. And now he thinks he's going to be the guy to bring America back to quote unquote normal.
His version of normal is clearly not normal people's version of normal. That's what I think. And when you look at the time that Star Wars came out, I remember there being a reference. It was in a television show, and the reference was about Star Wars, but the more important part of the reference was the fact that it wasn't an R-rated movie. It was a family movie. It was the greatest part of the Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader Star Wars saga was the simplicity of the good versus evil. And there was a redemption arc for how evil could become redeemed and become good in the end. All of that simplicity, that wonder, the fact that it was made geared towards children, I think all of that is what made Star Wars back in the day magical. And when you look at the franchise, when you look at the 4 episodes, now called episode 4, 5, and 6, the first 3 movies, there is so much greatness to be found in that movie. Of course, a lot of people don't like Return of the Jedi because it was even more geared for kids with the Ewoks and such, but I think that's really what made it so special, what made it so endearing. Maybe they should have left it there. I don't know. But as far as Star Wars is concerned, I think we need more stories about Luke, perhaps a reboot of the franchise with 3 completely different actors to play Luke, Leia, and Han, or whatever. But to me, Star Wars is Luke Skywalker and family, and not Ray Palpatine or whoever the heck else is coming along.
Yeah, and the problem is, Ron, and I guess we'll go to culture next. Culture, the problem here is that Mark Hamill is more Joker than he is Luke in real life. But we need the Luke character in order for Star Wars to survive. And they have refused for a decade now to do that. And it has gone as badly as if you said, well, we got the Batman franchise now, but we're not going to use Batman. We're not going to do that. We're going with Batgirl from here on out. Batgirl, Batgirl, Batgirl. You're muted, culture. Almost like Luke in Star Wars has been.
Sorry about that. Poor leadership and poor storytelling has been the big problem for Lucasfilm since Kathleen Kennedy was put in charge. I would say that we're a full decade into Kathleen Kennedy's leadership, and it's been nothing but disappointing. We ended up with a steady, if not vigorous, decline from the first sequel film to the last. You saw the same thing happen with all the television products that came along. Once you veer away from quality storytelling, you veer away from your fan base. And the fan base has always been able to rely on solid hero's journey storytelling, and your through line, of course, was the Skywalker family. They can't get away from the Skywalker family. They always have elements of it around, just not Luke himself. And I'd say that this started by a very poor reimagining by J.J. Abrams of the first 3 films, which was intermediately interrupted by Ruin Johnson, who's back making Onion films again. And I mean, ruin's good somewhere else that's not Star Wars. And that's kind of, what everybody realized. And then you had nothing left of a story to tell in the third film, and you had a complete disaster. The same thing happened. The first 2 seasons of the Mando story were excellent and could have continued forward with just Mando, with no more of the handicap called Grogu that was already running thin with most fans. But to me, if we just circle in on what Mark Hamill is about, let's say it's this: he is the full-sized version of our least favorite dwarf of all times.
Wait a minute. Which one? Because I always thought it was Sneezy, because really Sneezy is based on a disease.
Peter Dinklage.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, this guy is the same thing. He's like, look, no other dwarf actor can ever exist after me. And, he almost certainly guaranteed it. I am the one and only dwarf. There will be no others after me. And
he's a South Pole dwarf culture.
I'm just saying that Mark Hamill's the same, cut from the same cloth. And look, I mean, this is often a problem with actors. They're incredibly narcissistic and can't imagine anybody else being in their position. I used to be a fan of Mark Hamill. He's clearly lost his mind. And there's no way for him to recover it. Regardless, I wouldn't mind getting a recast of pretty much everything. That's something that Disney's hesitant to do because they know they can't capture lightning in a bottle again. And that's been very clear with their direction they've gone with Marvel, Star Wars, and almost everything else. A lot of these Pixar films are just an attempt to recapture that lightning, which Disney as an entity is so corrupted by politicization. I can't say the word, but politics. They're so corrupt by politics that I have very little hope for them in the future. And as you pointed out earlier, it leads directly into the conversation about what's happening at Disney World. Right.
Let's go to Jonas and Vash. Guys, maybe we're wrong about this. Maybe what Star Wars needs to do is just leave everything behind. What say you? Is Mark onto something, or is the idea of exodusing Luke Skywalker from the story flat out insane?
I don't think it's a good idea. I think Ahsoka right now, the way she's written is very flat. She's not really even the character that she was in the animated series. The only thing that Star Wars seems to do well is the animated stuff. And then you have Grogu, which is not even a character. It's essentially a prop. And most of the success they've had with that character is a lot of people around the prop acting. And it's great for merchandising, so they will never kill it. Eventually
the thing will have to grow up, Jonas, and maybe it'll be voiced by Tom Holland.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. Then they can have another Mando Jr., Luke Skywalker Jr. Most of what they have right now is, Robert Meyer Burnett said it best when he said that current Star Wars is about Star Wars, and that's pretty much it. So Hamill has a point, but I don't think the current creative team is capable of making Star Wars something other than a continuous self-referential thing. Star Trek The Next Generation is a great example of it. Started off, it had some throwbacks to the original series. In 26 episodes of seasons, there would be some, oh yeah, we'll mention that thing. It'll fly over most people's heads, way above most people's heads. But it was a continuation of the themes of the previous one. Star Wars right now, as well as Marvel and even Disney Animation is doing this, is all a collection of Easter eggs, throwbacks. We promise you it's going to remind you of the old one, as opposed to breaking new ground and not to make it for the modern audiences, but to tell good stories and go to familiar yet exciting new places. It's just not something that Star Wars does anymore. They just promise you it's going to remind you of what it used to be. And you can't do that. You have to have Luke Skywalker for that.
Well,
Vash, you get the final word.
I see. I disagree a little bit, but it's for a particular reason. See, I actually do believe that the universe is larger than these three characters, and the way to kind of move on from Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia was by setting up new ones with your characters fully in front. and very slowly, very gradually over time, setting up your new characters and really getting into the new era. Unfortunately, they wanted to do that right from jump in this very haphazard way without really a plan in mind. And that's really where we see the big problems where we lie now. So I do believe Mark Hamill is correct to some degree. The problem, though, is moving on from him right now is a bad choice, because they've tried to do that over the last 10 years or so, and they have failed completely in doing that, as Culture beautifully pointed out, and as Jonas has said as well. It's just they just haven't been able to crack this code. So leaning into the familiar, leaning into the established characters that really people resonating so much with this franchise is the better move than trying to move on from them haphazardly at this point. And it's just, that's where Star Wars finds itself. It finds itself in this really, really bad place where is the proper direction to go with aging out actors playing those characters, with fans not really resonating towards their new stories that they've created, even featuring those old established characters. I mean, it's in a really bad spot. And I think that's demonstrative of like Fortnite, for example, having the lowest player count in 2 years. That should have really resonated very, very strongly with that Fortnite base, with Star Wars really being out there in the forefront. Instead, it sank it down. And I think that's demonstrative of the bad decisions and everything else associated with Star Wars.
Disney, we are willing to move forward without Luke, with Gina. And that's where we'll leave it. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are done for now, but don't worry. Do not fret. Not yet, for more content is still coming your way 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. What a joy it has been to share our time with you. We hope you feel the same. Adding value to your every single day is our job here, and we take it very seriously. Folks, the only thing we ask in return is that you consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it. Stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. And folks, if you'd like to subscribe to our partner YouTube channels, That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and some of those radio stations like Vacation Radio, well, we certainly would appreciate it. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time and being invited into your day, folks, we go on our way saying this: keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. I mean, think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
Right. So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. She's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... Okay, I'm gonna call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.